Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome once again to NoDQ&A video, complete with the cat licking herself in the background, right here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQ&AV. As I do every 25 videos, this will be a special extended edition of NoDQ&A video. And no, I'm not talking about Val Venus extended. I'm talking about longer video, more questions being answered. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right down to your questions. First one today comes from Drone Inc. Has Ric Flair finally retired? I don't see WWE putting him in a match, and he's done with TNA. Ric Flair said it best himself. He will never retire. I think the bottom line is if somebody out there offers Ric Flair enough money to wrestle, he will wrestle. I think Ric Flair will keep the doors open to wrestle as long as he's alive. I just see that being the reality with Ric Flair. Wrestling is in his blood. It's the only thing he knows. And, he cannot resist the temptation to keep going as long as he can physically do it. So as far as him being in WWE, I think he is absolutely 100% retired as an in-ring WWE performer. And you never know. I mean, he could go back to TNA. I think it's unlikely at this point. So I think Ric Flair is pretty much done in the United States unless a high-level indie promotion wants to hire him. But Ric Flair's asking price will be so high, I doubt that any independent wrestling promotion would be able to afford him. So I think in the United States, we've seen the last of Ric Flair in the ring, but you never know when some promotion overseas might offer him the money. I think he would definitely consider doing another match. And another one here from Drone Inc. What did you think about the TNA commentator booth over the years? First with Mike Tenay and Don West, then Mike Tenay and Taz. Well, let's start off with Mike Tenay. You know, he's a very solid play-by-play announcer. I think he was at his best in WCW when he was part of the three-man team with Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan. I think he was good in the role of the guy who knew all the background information about the wrestlers. You know, he was the professor, Mike Tenay. I thought that was utilizing him the best in that role. When he became the head announcer in TNA, I wasn't a big fan of it. Partly because I think that TNA needed some fresh faces or fresh voices doing the commentary. The problem with Mike Tenay is that people associate him with WCW, and I felt that TNA needed their own identity, and it's not a good thing if people are comparing TNA to WCW. So just for that, I think it would have been better to have somebody else doing commentary. Because whenever, at least for me, whenever I hear Mike Tenay, I mean, I always think of him from WCW. Don West, it's weird about Don West because for several years I wasn't a big fan of his. I felt that he was just a little bit too over the top, and it's good to be over the top and selling the product, but I think that he was too much at times, and he was always breathing really heavy into the headset, and you could hear it, and it just bugged me. It was a pet peeve. But now in 2013, looking back, I actually didn't mind Don West. I mean, he had some phrases, you gotta be kidding me, and stuff like that. And he was unique as an announcer, and he really did put over the product, and he was very enthusiastic about it. So I mean, I do miss Don West, actually, to be honest with you. And as far as Taz goes, I liked Taz's announcing on SmackDown, but when he went to TNA, it feels like he's going out there doing a job. Now, maybe that's not the case, but he also makes a lot of mistakes, and I think he's just okay. I'll tell you what, I'm not a big fan at all of him being the heel Aces and Eights announcer. I just think it's so stupid. If he's going to keep doing the announcing, I'd rather he just play it straight. Just not a big fan of him trying to defend Aces and Eights and act like there's some kind of war going on between Aces and Eights, like they're the NWO or something, and it just feels very low rent and fake to me. So I would move away from that if they're going to keep him at the broadcast booth. All right, this one comes from Formspring Net. Hey Aaron, can you see Curtis Axel getting in the WWE title picture either this year or next, or do you think that he will be stuck only with a mid-card title like his father? Well, that remains to be seen. I'm going to lean towards him not getting into the WWE title picture. I mean, up to this point, I haven't really seen anything from him that suggests that one day he will be in the WWE title picture. Perhaps they'll give him a title shot on a B show, like one of the, I'm not like Hell in a Cell, probably not Hell in a Cell, but one of those pay-per-views, one of those minor pay-per-views, Night of Champions, for instance. I could see him maybe getting a 1 month push towards the title, but I think that will be the extent of it at this point. Maybe down the line he'll continue to improve as a performer, and maybe he will be a main eventer someday. But right now, I'd have to lean towards no. And I think when it's all said and done, he will continue to stay in that IC title, US title picture. All right, this one comes from Miguel 102296. Hey Aaron, what would you do to bring back credibility to the World Heavyweight Championship and make it the true counterpart of the WWE Championship again? Well, first thing I would do is not put it in the opening match or the second match of the night. Even a few years ago, like 2009, the World Heavyweight title would sometimes be the final match of the pay-per-view. Like, for instance, SummerSlam 2009, CM Punk and Jeff Hardy, the TLC match, it was the main event. The main event was built around the World Heavyweight title. So that's one thing I would do, start having the pay-per-views end with the World Heavyweight title match. So just by that, it feels more important. And putting the title on people that are credible as champions. I mean, they say sometimes the title makes the man, but sometimes the man makes the title. And, you put the title on Jack Swagger, who a lot of people see as a mid-carder, and you don't push him as a main eventer either, it devalues the title. But then again, somebody who fans see as a top-level superstar like Randy Orton, you put the title on him, and just like that, the title has more value. So, it's how you book the title, it's who you put the title on, and it's the placement of where the title is on the card. So, I mean, it's all three of those things you really need to work on to make the title as important as the WWE title. And you absolutely could still do it. But it's interesting because now that the brand extension is all but finished, I don't know if WWE's ever going to push that championship all that hard again, especially when, the top WWE title contenders are appearing on the house shows that used to be exclusive to SmackDown. Now you have the Raw guys on as well. So, I don't know if WWE's ever going to push the World Heavyweight Championship that hard again. All right, next one here. Hey Aaron, do you think the use of the old Rob Van Dam clips were of any help to promote his return to Money in the Bank? Absolutely. I have to say that WWE has done a tremendous job building up the return of Rob Van Dam. I've really enjoyed the promos and the video packages over the past several weeks, and showing the clips of him winning Money in the Bank and beating John Cena. It's really built up a lot of anticipation for his return, and it's done a lot not only to get fans excited about him coming back, but also introduce him to some of the younger fans out there and people that weren't watching WWE when Rob Van Dam was there. So I think it's been really effective, and I think it will help the buy rate for this pay-per-view a little bit with the way WWE's been building up his return. And that's one thing about WWE that they've always been great at over the years. You can say what you want about their booking, but they've always done a tremendous job when it comes to video packages and just building up a character. And I have to say it's true. I think that WWE has done a better job putting over Rob Van Dam and making a bigger deal out of him just by showing video packages than TNA did during the entire time he was there. All right, this one comes from Drizzle44. Hey Aaron, do you think WrestleMania has suffered a little since Money in the Bank became a pay-per-view, or would the Money in the Bank match not have helped WrestleMania 27, 28, and 29 much? I definitely think that Money in the Bank being taken off WrestleMania has hurt WrestleMania overall, because the thing about Money in the Bank is you were always guaranteed it was going to be a great match. I mean, there really hasn't been a bad Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, they're always exciting and fun to watch, and WrestleMania, the guys go out there and give it their all. So, I mean, Money in the Bank was a big part of WrestleMania, and I know it definitely helped. It definitely hurt 27, and I'd say it hurt all three pay-per-views. So the question is, should WWE bring it back? I mean, I like the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I mean, of all the themed pay-per-views, I think that the Money in the Bank one has been one of the best. I mean, every year since they've done it, starting in 2010, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view has been one of the best shows of the year. So, I don't know if you should bring it back for WrestleMania, but maybe come up with a new concept match for WrestleMania or something that you can use a lot of people in and make it exciting and have a match that will build up to future storylines. I mean that was one thing that was so good about Money in the Bank at WrestleMania is that you had all these people tuning in for WrestleMania and you have a big match that builds to the future and will get people curious about continuing to watch the show after WrestleMania. So that was one good thing about Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, in addition to just guaranteeing a great match on the card. All right, this one comes from Ruben Rex. Do you think Billy Kidman had potential to be a world champion if he never left WWE? I think that Billy Kidman was a really great wrestler and a great high flyer, but I don't know if he was WWE title material. Now, obviously he didn't have the size, and I didn't think he was the most charismatic wrestler, and he wasn't all that strong on the mic. So I mean, that he didn't have the whole package. I think that if he was a better talker, maybe he would have had potential to get a run at the WWE title. But I mean, there's only so many small guys that WWE is going to push, and you have in that underdog role. I mean, they did it with Rey Mysterio, but they're not going to do it with a ton of guys. It's just not going to happen. So I mean, Rey Mysterio was probably their best choice if they were going to go with the underdog high flyer champion and have somebody in that role. I mean, Rey Mysterio was the best for that. So it is what it is. I think Billy Kidman, he was meant to be a guy that came out there and had great matches, and whenever he came out there, you would see something exciting. But I just don't think he had the whole package to be a main event world champion. All right, this one comes from Tom09 Hair. Hey Aaron, apart from the WrestleMania 19 match with Shawn Michaels, what would you consider Chris Jericho's best WrestleMania match? That's the thing about Chris Jericho. I think that he's had a lot more disappointing WrestleMania matches than great WrestleMania matches. Obviously the WrestleMania 19 would be my number one pick. I liked the WrestleMania 16 match he had with Benoit and Kurt Angle. I thought that was a really good match. And probably the best match on that card, besides the Dudleys and Hardys and Edge and Christian. And I think I forgot to mention that a few weeks ago when I was talking about WrestleMania 16 matches. I mean, that was a really good one with Jericho. And, the WrestleMania 18 match with Triple H was a huge disappointment. The match with CM Punk, I thought, was a disappointment a few years back. I'd have to say maybe the Money in the Bank from WrestleMania 21, the first Money in the Bank match, the match that Chris Jericho came up with in storyline. That was a really good match, and I'd have to say that was his best match at WrestleMania, next to the WrestleMania 19 match, of course. And the WrestleMania 20 match with Christian was pretty good as well. All right, this one comes from Stephen Brown 75. Hey, I love the show. You always give good insight. Thank you for that. If I could be serious for a moment, Lance Storm, ha ha ha. What's the scoop on Matt Morgan, and is a WWE return upon us, or is he going to Japan? That is a good question. I don't know if WWE has any interest in Matt Morgan. They already got a lot of people that they're pushing hard right now, and some guys get a second chance. Does Matt Morgan deserve a second chance in WWE? I would lean towards yes. I think that he was given a very bad gimmick, the whole stuttering character that he had in 2004, and that was unfair to him. They should have given him a chance to go out there and just be a monster and do his thing. So, I mean, I think he deserves the shot. Will he get it? I am not so sure at this point. I think, it might be in his best interest to explore his other options overseas, that might be the way to go, and wait till the timing is better to try to make a WWE run. But if they're interested in him, then he would be wise to take the offer. He has a baby coming on the way, so maybe something will work out between him and WWE. Who knows? All right, this one comes from Clarky Boy 123. Why doesn't the WWE bring back War Games since they own all the WCW rights? Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the idea that Vince doesn't like doing ideas that he didn't come up with, and War Games was a WCW creation. I think I've talked about this before. My opinion is that as Triple H gets more power and has more say over what happens on WWE television, I think the chances will increase of the War Games concept possibly making a return. I think that Triple H is obviously a fan of old school wrestling, and War Games goes back to the Ric Flair era, so I'm sure Triple H is a big fan of the War Games matches. I don't think they'll bring back the two rings. That's definitely a WCW concept. But I could see them, doing the one cage and having two teams going at it. I think it's a good idea to bring it back. I would love to see it return, but I don't know if Vince is all that high on it. I think that that's the main reason why they haven't brought it back at this point. All right, last one today, also from Clarky Boy 123. If Wade Barrett wins the Money in the Bank match, do you think WWE will have him cash it in the next time they are in the UK? I'm not sure if Wade Barrett's going to win Money in the Bank. I think he's one of the favorites, but if he does win it, that would be a great idea, actually. I think that you want to have him cash it in a city where he's going to be guaranteed a huge reaction. I mean, everybody remembers Dolph Ziggler's cash in because of the way the crowd reacted. So why not have Wade Barrett cash it in the UK where he's going to be really over with the fans, and it will give the illusion that this is something that's a huge deal, even if it's not all that big of a deal to most of the rest of the world. So I'm definitely a fan of them doing something like that if Wade Barrett, in fact, wins Money in the Bank this Sunday. And speaking of this Sunday, NoDQ.com will have live coverage of WWE Money in the Bank. Make sure you stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the very latest regarding Money in the Bank, as well as the latest in WWE in general and TNA as well. And if you enjoyed the video today, please share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. Anybody you know that watches wrestling, have them check out NoDQ&A video, and keep subscribing, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. And I will see you next time for more NoDQ&A video.